All right, our next assignment for section 6 is going to be expanding off of using the law of sines. Your last assignment, you were just solving these triangles. Now we're going to actually be finding the area. So let's go ahead and go over numbers 1 and 5. All right, so for number 1, I've already kind of made some pre-notes here for you. And the nice thing about this assignment is if you want, you're totally free to draw your own triangle. I'm just going to keep using this same triangle as a template. And this came straight out of your notes. And so with number 1, like we've said first, is we have to find angle C before we can find A and B. And that's just going back to using 180 and subtracting the two angles that are given to you from it. And we find out that angle C equals 79 degrees. Okay, now that we have that angle, we can go in and we can use our law of sines chart from the notes that we were using. And if we go in here and find out, we have to find what side A is and find what side B is. So I'm going to start with side A first. And side A, I'm going to use my law of sines, and it is A over the sine of angle A. And we have angle A, so I'm going to replace angle A with 38. Then that equals the sine of C with the denominator of the sine of C. So C they give us. We're picking the one that they give us. So they gave us C, so I'm going to use sine C. And that's 15 over the sine of angle C. Well, I have angle C now. So I'm going to take that out and replace it with 79 degrees. All right. Now, at this point, we're going to do a little bit of algebra, and we're going to multiply by the denominator that's below A. And so that denominator is sine 38. And whatever we do to one side, we got to do to the other side. And we get sine 38. All right. Now that these cancel out right here, and I'm left with A equals 15 times the sine of 38 over sine of 79. All right, now you're going to put all of this right here into your calculator. Just make sure that you close off your parentheses. All right, so once I put all of this into my calculator, I'm going to type in 15. I'm going to hit the sign button. I'm going to type in 38. Then I'm going to close that. Make sure you close it with the parenthesis. Then you're going to hit the division button, and you're going to type in sine 79. And make sure you close that off, and you hit enter, and you end up with A equals 9.4. Okay? So we now have figured out what side A is. Now I need to find what side B is. And if you want to, you could use the Pythagorean theorem. Or we can just go back and use our law of sines again. So I'm just going to change what the left side is with B. So instead of A on top, I'm going to have B. I don't know what B is, so I have B over sine B. But I have angle B, and angle B is 63. So now it's going to be 60, whoops. It's going to be 63 on the bottom. Okay? Equals, we can use sine C again because they all equal each other according to the law of sines. So I'm going to use the same fraction again, 15 over the sine of 79. This time we're going to multiply both sides by the denominator below B. So I've got sine 63. And on this side, I'm going to multiply times sine 63. All right. And those cancel out. And I'm left with B equals 15 sine 63 over sine 79. All right, again, all of this goes in your calculator. All right, and when you type all that into the calculator, make sure that you're closing off your parenthesis at the end of one sine. Okay, and when you type all that in, you end up with b equals 13.6. All right, and we've been able to find out what our sides of our triangles represent. And we found our missing angle. Okay, number 5 is going to be a little bit different. We're going to be actually calculating the area of this triangle. All right, so starting off number 5, we're going to first need to find what that missing angle is, okay? And if you notice, you're going to use your chart from your notes. Some of these have both angles. Some of these have two sides and one angle. It just depends on what you have to use your chart. But just keep using the A, B, C formula, all right? That's the one nice thing about this assignment is all of your triangles are angle A, B, and C. So you won't have to kind of substitute. So let's start off with number 5. And let's go ahead and subtract our two angles from 180 so we can get that missing angle. And if we subtract all of our angles from 180, like we do up there, we get that angle C is 74 degrees. All right, so I found angle C as 74 degrees. All right, now depending on what equation we use from volume, or I'm sorry, from finding the area of your triangle, I like to pinpoint the side they give me. So they give me side C. So because I have side C, I'm going to use this equation from our chart. And that's K equals half times C squared sine, back here, sine A sine B over sine C. All right, I knew to use this one because of the side they gave me. Okay, so I'm going to write down exactly what you can put inside your calculator, because from here on out, after you figure out what formula you need, it's calculator time. All right, so here's exactly what I'm putting in my calculator. All right, I'm going to use 0.5 instead of a half. I just like using 0.5. It's a little bit easier. Make sure we're closing our parentheses. All right, and C squared is going to be 4 squared. Okay, and then I'm going to type in sine. I'm going to hit the sine button. And I'll have the sine of A, which is angle A, which is 37. Close your parenthesis, hit the sine button again, and it's sine B. So the sine of B, angle B is 69. Close your parenthesis, hit the division key right there. Is when you're going to hit your division key. And we're going to put in the sine of angle C, which we found was 74 degrees. All right, and make sure you close your parenthesis. The first parenthesis is already provided to you when you hit that sine button, okay? You just have to make sure that you close the parenthesis after you type in your angle measurement, okay? Now, once I type all that in my calculator and hit enter, I get K equals 4.67. And I'm going to round up to the nearest tenth, so I'm left with K equals 4.7 as my area of our triangle. Again, email or message me if you're having any questions. We'll get into labeling these. This, if you wanted to label it, it would be units squared. All right, right now let's just work on getting this calculator input adjusted and typed in. If you have any questions or you're struggling with one of these, email and message me, and I'll give you the volume, and then you can just, I'm sorry, the area. I'll give you the area. You can just show me what you're typing into your calculator. That's the big step. All right. Again, so if there's any issues, feel free to email or message me on Classroom. And your assignment for this will be to do 2, 3, 4, and 6, 7, 8.